Hello everyone, this is Nikita and thank you for joining me in this video. So in this video, I wanted to talk about declare index rule. Declare index rule is a very important concept in Pega and also it is very important with the perspective of interview. So interviewer we're going to ask you about declare index rule in detail as well. How do you create a declare index rule? What are the prerequisites and post-requisites on that? So I want you to understand this very well. So what we would cover in this particular video is what is a declare index rule. Then we will talk about why do we need to create a declare index rule, and then the required steps to optimize a page and a page list property so that we can have a declare index rule get created. So these are the different things that we would cover. So what is a declare index rule in Pega? It is a rule type in Pega which is used to expose the aggregate properties, like we have a page or we have a page list or a page group, all of these for reporting purpose. It is very important when it comes to reporting, we require to optimize this. Otherwise, even if we don't optimize the properties, right, we can always have that in a blob. So it's not a mandatory thing. But when it comes to reporting, when you want to fetch anything from a report definition, it is important to have that page list optimized and a declared index rule created. Otherwise, the required time to fetch property value from a page list is a way higher. So that's why we need to create a declare index rule for this. And it helps to populate the corresponding index table whenever an insert, update or a delete operation is performed on the main table on the work object, right? Whenever we commit them, the index rule gets updated automatically. We do not need to insert any row in the index table explicitly. So this is taken care by Pega itself. That's why it's also called a declarative rule. So I told you about reporting, which is important if you want to have anything getting fetched from report definition. We need to have a declare index rule, and I also told you about we do not need to explicitly add the page list property value in the index class. It automatically gets created, updated, etc. on commit in the main class. Now, the most important part is how do we create a declare index rule? So we need to optimize the page or a page list property. How do we do that? First step, we need to create an index table. Second step, we need to create an index class, and it should inherit from an index dash class. So it's a prerequisites. Now, what are the different keys for the index class? PXIN's index key, PX index count, and PX index purple. These are the three columns or three keys of that index class. Now we need to create the properties which we need to store in the index class, right? So the index class also needs to have the same properties that we have in the main class for that page list property or a page property. So that needs to be created in the index class. The last step is to create a declare index rule, the main rule, and add the property there, like all the source property and the index property. We need to add the mapping in the declare index rule. These are the different things that we need to configure. So without wasting time, let's jump into our application and see that practically happening. Now coming to interview also, so interviewer will not tell you or will not ask you how do you optimize a property, and you say that just right click on the property and you will see an option of optimize for reporting. Just do that, just do next, and it's done. No, that's not how you should answer. You need to go into the depth. How is Pega doing that for you? So Pega might be doing everything for you and you need not, understand this, but without understanding the core or the basics, how the Pega engine is working, we understand everything from very, we are not understanding it from root. So that's not what we want. We need to understand what is it that Pega is doing internally, and if Pega would not have done that, how would we manually do this? These are the things that we need to understand. So let's just see if we can create some index rule, and For that, let's go to our second stage. In that second stage, we have a step called add beneficiary. Let me go to the first flow action, then section. Okay. So here we have this beneficiary list, which is a page list, by the way. And now what I want is, I want to have an index class for this particular page list. So what do I do? The first step is creating the index class, sorry, the index table, then creating index class, and then properties and all of this stuff, right? So we understand what we have to do. So Pega is doing that for you. Let me try to optimize one of the properties inside that page list and see how that works. Okay. So let me go to the data model and see my page list property. Okay, so this is my page list property beneficiary list. There are four columns in four properties in this page list. Now let me optimize one of the property inside this and see what is Pega doing that for us. So ID, let's try to optimize this. Optimize for reporting. Now, this particular wizard which you see is what it is doing. It is telling you that we will create a new index class and an index property for you. Very good. Now, let's see what it is asking for. It's just saying that you can you give me the rule set name and the version in which I need to save all of these, right? There would be different rules that would get created. And now it's just asking when you need to populate, when you need to have this created, now or later. I want it now. Let me do next. Okay, so it's saying that when you click on next, the optimization would start. Yes, I'm okay with this. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so it's just telling me what are the number of instances in the onboarding class. It's 61. Now, what are the rules that got created? First is the index class, then index property, then the actual index rule, and also the table. Or obviously, table would get created whenever we do that. What Pega does for it. Pega does it for you, right? So if suppose you would have created the class by yourself and all of this, you don't want to run this wizard, then you would have to create the class, table, everything by yourself. Now, when I click on finish, it's done. So all of these have been created already. Let's see one by one. Let's try to see my index class first. This is my index class. Let's open it. What do I see here? I see the type. I know it's a concrete because why it's a concrete class? Because we have a table mapped to it and the classes or the instances get saved. So it's not abstract, it's concrete. Now it does not belong to a class group, that's okay. Now the keys which I told you and the class inheritance, all of these are defined. Now let me see my table. Now try to see the test connection and check my table, index table. Let's go to my database and try to find this. Okay, it should be in PR index. Okay, yes, this is the one. Yeah, so these are the different columns that I have in my table. Well and good. Now let's go here again. And you got the point, right? No, now my declare index rule have already been created also. So let's check my declare index rule. So this is the rule. What do you see here? It's the source page context, because whenever anything is added or updated in this particular page list, that's a beneficiary list, this trigger would happen, right? And the source page context class, then the index class in which we need to write, then we have the different mapping of the properties. ID, there would be like, if I suppose I want 4 more properties, right? Total 4 properties are there in that list. So let me try to add others as well. What do? I just have to go to my actual page list. Where is this? Where is my page list? Here it is, right? Beneficiary list. So ID is already there. What about the rest of them? Let's do that one by one. So when I try to optimize for reporting again, will it create a new index class? Actually not. If it founds the index rule already exists, it will not create. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so it's done. Did it create a new index rule? Let's check it out. First, let's go here. No. So this is the old one. So I don't have a new one created. Let's refresh this. Okay, so the age has been added. So what we did was when we optimized that property, it first checked whether there is an already declare index rule available for that particular page list or not. If it is there, it just updates the same declare index rule. Otherwise, it has to create a new. Okay, so now let's add another one by one name. I'll do the same thing again. So now it's saying that the property optimization cannot be initiated as the population is still in progress. What do you mean by population? Basically, there are a few instances in the main table, right? So the population is something where we actually try to see if we can populate the index table with the instances that are present in the main table. So since we have 64 instances, it might take little time for the population to be completed. That's why it's not allowing any other optimization to happen when the job or when the population is in progress. That's why we get this error. Okay, what we can do is we can wait for some time till the population is completed. Okay. In the meantime, what do? Is we go to our table and refresh this and see what. Okay, so created one new column as well. So whenever we do anything there, the same same changes in the schema is getting reflected in the table as well. So that's easy, that like we don't have to do two things, right? We do once in Pega and it automatically gets updated here as well. So our work gets reduced. Now let's do that again. Let's try to optimize this. Let's see if the population has completed or not. Okay, so it's completed. It's not giving any error now. Fine, let's do the finish. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, yeah, so the name has been added. Now only the relation is left. Okay, we'll do this again in few minutes because the population must be going on. Okay, so ID, age, name has been added. Okay, let's try this again. Relation. Okay, so this is also done. So everything has been added. Let's go here and check it out. Fine, so we have everything done. Now let's run the case type. Okay, let's see if everything works as expected or not. Okay. Just to approve. Now add item. Let me add a name. Sorry, that's ID, name, age. Okay, now when we do a submit or a save, what happens is something that we need to understand. Okay, so let me try to save it first. Okay, the save has happened. Now let's try to submit. Okay, so let's check what has happened. Does the index class or the index instance have the correct thing or not? Sorry, what was that? Okay, so it's this. Now let's see the instances. Okay, so we have lot of instances here. The recent one is 8016, so this is the one. So let's go and check it out if my table has the value. Okay, so let's try to use a select query here. Okay, let's run this. What do we have? Okay, so for last one, don't check the other one because these are some, test thing that I try to do, but these can be deleted. The last one is the one which we did just now. We gave Gayatri as a name, we gave sisters the relation, age, and the ID. So these are the things that we provided to it, right? So this has been committed as and when we are committing our main table. Okay. So now, suppose this is the page list, right? And we created it through out of the box wizard that we have. But when we don't want to run the wizard, what we have to do is first we need to create the index table, then go and create the index class. Then the next step would be to create the properties in that index class. Okay. After that, we need to go and create the main declare index rule. So these are the steps. So if the interviewer asks, we need to tell all these steps. Don't say that just go right click and optimize for reporting. No, this is the way that you need to explain. Suppose if I come to a page property, what will happen is page property works differently in Pega. So if you click on right click and try to optimize, it will not create a declare index by itself. For that, we need to manually, go and create the index table, index class, all of this, right? I can show you why I'm saying this. Let's see. Let's go to my onboarding class. Let's see if I have some property, page property. So I have an equipment page, which is a page property. As you can see, it's a single page. Now let's try to, optimize for reporting this particular property. Okay. So it doesn't say anywhere that it will create an index class or index table, right? It's saying that Pega platform creates a column in the database table and maps it to the property in the classes. Okay, so it creates a column and it maps it to the property, or like it does a normal, optimization, or it creates a new column in that table, but it does not create an index class. How does it do that? How does it map it to that particular property, right? For that, I'll show you how it does. Let me go to next and show you. Okay, this is done. Works. Now let me try to open this class for you. Okay, see the magic now. So this particular class, right? We had this property which we exposed right now. Now go to the external mapping. What do you see? You see a new column name getting created, and you see the property name. And how does it look like? It's basically the page property, and then the actual property name inside that page property. This is how it's mapped. It did not create an index class for you. So by default behavior is this, but to be, the right practice is always to have an index table and index classes to be created instead of doing an external mapping. So that's how it is. You understand now that what is the difference between the page property and page list while optimization. What's the best way to do it? Make sure that you try to manually create all of this by yourself, not rely on the Pega out of the box functionality. This would be easier for you to grab the basics. Also, when you go to the table, right, you see that three keys that we talked about. Let me try to find those. this index class. Yeah, so it was px index purpose, px indexed key, and then pxi index count. What are these? So index purpose is always you have that actual declare index rule name added in here, and then pxinc indexed key is the actual, you can say it's like a pginc key only. You have that class name and then the work object id. Okay. Px index count is the number, whenever you insert or update or delete, so you'll create a new, row, you add a new row in it. So that's basically the index count. Okay, so for the same work object, if you add another one, this would increase by 1. So you will have another row 1 with the px index count number as 1, and then the same px index. So the combination of these three makes this index class as unique. I hope you got my point, right? So that's how it is. So I hope this was helpful to you. I will meet you again with the next topic. Till then, keep watching, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Thank you. See you again in my next video. Bye bye.